I've left this panel 24 hours to dry off properly, and it has picked up quite a bit of dust, and most of it is probably from the dust circulating from my stove, which is a bit unfortunate. But as I mentioned to you before, I really like to paint panels when they're vertical. They're a lot easier to do than laying them down. So it's not the end of the world, the panel still looks good. So what we're going to do, we're going to sand it down now with 1500 paper, and then we're going to polish it. This is called flatting and polishing. We're using our air sander. This is a nice little sander with an exhaust. It's quiet, it's light, and it's already got a soft pad on it here, but that's a little bit too hard. So what we do is we get this one here, it's an intermediate one, and it's a foam. So we put that on the Velcro there, then we put our 1500 paper on like that, and when we sand, we will not, doesn't matter where we go, that pad's always going to be square. So let's sand that down. I've got the soapy water in the pressure bottle, which I need to pump up. Oops, not quite like that. That was interesting. So I've got another one made out of a stronger plastic this time. That was a bit of a joke. It's probably leaked now. I can't win with these things, can I? So let's get this. There we go. So we wet the panel down. You want it nice and wet when you're doing 1500. You don't want to be sticking around and digging in. Clip the airline on. And we'll give it a sand. All the time. You can do this with a hose pipe, but a hose pipe tends to put too much water out, so we're just going to do it with a little when you put your sander down, lay it on the side like that, because you could pick dust up. You don't want dust in it. So what we're going to do, we're going to use our flat sander, pull the top off. Then we can see the difference in the surface. You can see it's starting to take away the orange peel. That's starting to go. There isn't much in there, but there is a little bit of dust. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then we'll get round to doing polishing. Finish with the 1500, and now we're going to give it a polish. And we're going to give it a polish whilst it's still wet. You may be thinking, why am I doing that? Well, you'll probably see, because it cuts a lot better. I'll just do this little bit at the bottom first. I'm going to take the speed up a little bit. Always keep your pad moving, don't do it in one place. And you can see now the shine's starting to come up. Probably, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's have a look over here. You can see that there's the difference in the light now. That light's looking a lot more clearer, that square light. So I'm going to do that. This is a very coarse compound. Let me get the camera straight, that's it. This is very coarse compound, and we use that just to get out the marks from the sander, and then we're going to work down in different grades until we end up with a sort of a polish. So I've given the panel a quick going over. It's still difficult to see what it actually looks like from that angle, but it's looking really good for me. What I wanted to say to you is this. This is a... it's like Bob Fleming. It is early in the morning. These pads here are wool. And this is sort of a professional machine because you can vary the speed on it, and it's got quite a good balance when you're using it. The compound I'm using, as I mentioned in another video, is this Presta. The reason why I like it, it's water-based, hence the water. Water acts as a lubricant, and you can vary the difference in cut. Now I can see from this that there's no orange peel in here because I sanded the orange peel out. An orange peel is a process when you... the surface of the paint will look like the skin of an orange, little dimples and rise bits, if you see what I mean. And it's the particles of paint that have come onto contact with the panel and not quite dried and not quite blended out right. People say that you can take out the orange peel just with the sander. You can't. You've got to flatten polish, and this is what flattening and polishing really is. So one other thing you've got to think about, and if you ever watched when I was doing this, because the machine goes in this direction, you cut your paint like this. Don't go like this on this side, because it's going to kick up. When you're doing things on this side, come from another angle. You see what I mean? Because it will kick, it can damage the paint. Also, keep this moving. This can get very hot, and it can actually melt the paint. Not just burn through it, it will melt it, and you will get all sorts of problems, so you don't want that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use a different grade mop and a different grade cutting cream, and we'll see if we can get some of these swirl marks out. If you can see at the moment, like I say, it's very difficult for you to see, but there's marks come from this now, and these are called swirl marks. So we're going to use a product to take the swirls out. So this time I'm using a foam pad, and I'm using ultra polish, which is going to take out minor imperfections. It's looking 99% good when I'm looking at here. I can see a few little marks here from the orbital sander. That's about it really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the black cutting cream, and I'm going to see if I can just cut those swirl marks out. The paint might not be just as hard as I would like it to be, but we're going to get that out, and then we're going to give it a final polish again with the blue cream, fine cream, and then it'll be just ready for polish, cleaning. So I think I've got all the marks out. Sometimes you have to do things 2 or 3 times. But now I'm just going to use a bit of wax polish. And I'm using this Autoglim Super Resin Polish. And as you can see, I didn't even wash the panel off. I'm just putting it straight onto the, when we came off with the cutting cream. And this will actually help us to see, you see the dirt coming, you know, the old finish coming out. I use a little bit of muslin cloth. And just do it in little circles. There we go. I can see another bit needs a bit polishing, because like I say, you've got to take, you can polish a car for a long time. I mean, some people think that polishing a car is just getting the bottom polish out and going over it, but there's a little bit more to it than that. I'm going to turn this cloth over, see if I can't tip that over. Now I can see at the top there I need to do a little bit of work in that corner. It's looking good, but it could be better. But because I have difficulty to get to the corner, I'm going to do that when it's on the car because it's a bit more rigid. But like I say, it's looking good. We'll just keep putting this polish on in little circles. I think you're supposed to let it dry. I'm not sure, what's it say? Yeah, leave it to dry. So there we go. Naturally I don't follow instructions, so I'm just going to polish it anyway. I'm just going to run it across it with the microfiber because, like I said, I'm not sure if I've got all the, and that's on the floor, I'm not sure if that's got all the marks out. So what we do is we progressively work this panel, and then once it's nice and shiny we can look for any defects and just go over them again and again till you get them right. Alright, because I can see some bits looking really nice and some bits could do with a bit more work. So I'm going to work on this, but I think you've generally got the idea now. How it's done. Yeah, I need to do a little bit more work. The repairs are filled in quite nice. The panel's looking nice and flat. I just need to, like I say, now I can see it's shiny. There's a bit down here that's a bit dull. So I'm going to give that a go. A little bit round the handle. And then spend some more time with the fine polish. But I think you've got the hang of that now, so all it takes now is just a little bit of time. You can see down here it's a bit dull, there's a few scratches. I've rushed it a little bit just to try and make this video faster. So what I'm going to do is do a little description on the board about swirl marks and orange peel. It's easy for me to draw it. I've just done a quick sketch on my whiteboard here to show you the difference, some of the problems you get with paint when you're getting close to finishing. When you're using your sander, your orbital sander, you will get, sometimes if you get dirt or grit in the paper and you're not constantly washing it away, or you're using a paper that's too coarse, when the sander's going round, because it goes round, it's called an orbital sander because it goes round in a little circles. And sometimes if you get grit or you do using too coarse paper, you will get things called production marks. And when you get light shining on them, like this is looking from above, but when you get light shining off your panel, instead of the light reflecting, nice and bouncing back off again, it will go all over the place. It looks dull, it looks grey, it looks nasty. So the idea is to polish that lot out or not get it in the first place. And that was one of the reasons why I used the flat sander so much rather than the orbital sander. The next problem we have is orange peel. And I just did a quick sketch on that. It's not very good, but you sort of get the idea. When the paint comes out of your gun, it comes out in little droplets, if you see what I mean. It comes out in little drops, and if it hasn't got the right quantity of thinners in it, what it'll do is it'll instead of blending nice and flat on your panel, it'll raise into what's called an orange peel. Now, most cars, if you look at them, especially Volkswagens, there's orange peel all over them. They don't care, they're just banging through the factory. But what my job is what I've just done there is I've got the sander and I've taken off the top of that exactly like that. So now it becomes, instead of the light scattering all over the place, the light now is going to bounce back and it's going to look nice and sharp. So light coming in here will bounce off and it's going to look nice. It's not going to bounce off up here, and that's what it makes it look a little bit, you know, funny. So this is good enough to go back on the car. It's good enough for a Land Rover anyway. If you look very carefully at this piece of light here, as I move the camera around, you can see there's a minor defect just here. That's the one I was telling you about. When you run your hands across things, you can feel it. But generally speaking, it's not too bad. It's pretty good. It's blended in lovely here. I've got a few production marks here of my own I've got to sand out. But again, I'll do that on the car because it's easier to get at. But yeah, you can do repairs yourself. It's not too difficult. It does take time. It does take a lot of time. But the results are quite good. I mean, for a little garage and nothing else, it's better than just doing a little spot repair. You have to do the whole panel. And I can guarantee as soon as this goes on the car, it will look like the top bit here. So I'm going to wash this down, fit this panel, bring the car inside, and then I'm going to work on that top piece, and then that job will be done. But yeah, pretty good results from a crappy little spray gun and just a little bit of sanding. You can see there, there's nothing you can see really. But when I keep saying about optically clear, you're looking to see those sharp edges in those lights, if you see what I mean. Sometimes a fluorescent light is best to work off because it's straight. These aren't the best lights to work from, but this isn't a spray shop, okay? So we've done our best. Alright, so if you like this, click and subscribe. If you've got any questions, I'll reply to every question. And like I say, pass this around to your friends. They might be wanting to do the car and might be encouraged to do them themselves. It's certainly a lot better than the old days when we used to do our Series 2As with the paint roller. But then again, needs must, eh? So take care, we'll catch you next time.